Last time in our Decade series we were in the 1860s at Baker Street. Today I've come to an 1870 station which is a lot of people's favourites. Welcome to Temple.
Located on the District and Circle lines, Temple Station opened as The Temple in May 1870 by the District Railway and used to be a small brick building, with the station being rebuilt to how it is now in 1912. Temple still feels like a proper metro station with facing cut and cover platforms, and in fact I say metro on purpose because Temple is the only station on the London Underground that shares a name with a station on the Paris Metro. The pronunciation is slightly different though. And Temple's most famous feature is outside the entrance, where there's this metal poster underground map dating from 1932 that everyone already knows about, right? So let's come back to that in a moment. Okay, so inside the station, and it has got a charm like so few stations have nowadays. You do feel like you've been maybe transported back to the 1870s when stepping inside. I like the architectural features of these windows. They used to look down onto the tracks, but no more. And it's not a step-free station, there are just staircases at the eastern end. I read somewhere once that Temple used to have a second entrance at the western end, but sadly I could find no evidence of this. I'll just quickly drop in the fact that Temple is of course an anagram of the brilliant word pelmet, which I'm sure you already knew. And then we must look at this feature, these temple symbols that are on the pillars at the station here. It's a great fun fact to tell people that these are the Temples of Temple, except that it's not the case because they're not exclusive to here. And you can see this design in the pillars at South Kensington as well, and just a couple of stops down from here at Mansion House. Alright then, time to go on the roof. Now, if you're ever here at a weekend, particularly a Saturday, down here, this area outside the front of the station is actually a popular point for lots of walking tours around London. Come here on a Saturday and you'll see people congregating to go off on a tour. I do love that the cafe next door is called Temple Bar, clever name. But I am going to go up these steps here to go onto the roof. Yes, head up these steps and you'll find the Artist Garden on the flat roof of the station. That's a 1,400 square metre area that is now a public space for contemporary art, including this one, which is fun because it's interactive. But the best bit about being on the roof of Temple Station is that there's this point here. Can you hear it? You can hear the trains. If you peer down through the grille, you can see the trains. But even if you just lean over or get close casually, you can smell the trains. You can smell the smell of the underground coming out of this grille. It's also at this point where the proposed garden bridge, which never happened, would have come to across the Thames. Had that been built, then access on the north side of the river would have very much used the roof of the station. Temple, by the way, is the nearest tube station if you want to go and see where Aldwych is. That's one of London's disused tube stations. But to get there, you have to walk along Temple Place, and in doing so, you stumble across something else that's brilliant at Temple, one of the few remaining cabman shelters. There used to be over 60 of these across London, now there's only 13 left, and whilst tradition dictates that only black cab drivers are allowed to actually go inside, there's also a window which absolutely serves everyone else, which meant that it was time for a tea.
Here's your cup of tea, sir.
Thanks very much.
Enjoy.
Thank you. A proper tasting tea too, and at a bargain price. It might just be London's cheapest and best cup of tea. So up Surrey Street then to get to the disused Aldwych station. The London Transport Museum's Hidden London often runs tours here if you want to get inside to see what I think is one of London's best preserved disused tube stations. And when you go on the tour, one of the last things that you see when you exit is a sign on the wall that says Way Out and Temple Station, as it really is quite close. So close, in fact, that I'm sure there was always the idea that instead of abandoning the Aldwych branch, it could have carried on and connected up with Temple Station, and then maybe the Piccadilly line could have even have carried on beyond that and gone to Waterloo. Right then, back at the station, let's investigate that 1932 tube map that's on the outside. It was discovered in the 1990s when old poster hoardings were removed, and it was preserved with a sign advising passengers that up-to-date tube maps, or journey planners, are indeed located inside the station. But the fun game to play here is studying the map closely and looking at how many station names were different back then. 1932 was a time when Walham Green was on the map, alongside Mark Lane and Trinity Road. Archway was originally called Highgate, and Brent Cross was merely just Brent back then. There are loads more to spot, So next time you're passing through Temple, make time to stop and have a look at the map and see if you can spot all the differences. Now, did you know that Temple Station used to be closed on Sundays until 20 years ago? A dig through my old tube maps reveals that in the March 2005 edition, there was a note that says that from May 2005, it would now start opening on a Sunday. And the station? Well, it's called Temple because to the east of the station, a short walk takes you into the City of London and a large legal centre of the UK. All barristers in England have to belong to one of London's 4 Inns of Court, and included in that 4 are the Inner Temple and Middle Temple, which are located here in a charming maze of tiny back streets, where I also found the stunning Temple Church. I think this is the Inner Court area. Walking through this pillared area, all I'm thinking is, it's a bit like the pillars either side of the platforms at Temple Station itself. In fact, Temple and this entire section of the line is thanks to Joseph Bazalgette for sorting out London's sewage problems, one aspect of which was creating the Victoria Embankment itself, through which trains now run. And the only road to survive through the embankment rebuild is Middle Temple Lane, a narrow cobbled thoroughfare of chambers with massive hourly rates. If you've never explored this area of London, you simply must come and see it, by of course catching a tube train to Temple. And as my train arrives here to go home, that is your comprehensive look at Temple Station, a station in the decade of the 1870s. 1880s coming up next. If you like this kind of stuff, press subscribe, and thanks for watching.